Hello everyone, greetings from TCC. So basically now we are here to write the code for this button called place the order. So if I double click on this, so here we come on this event. So I have already put the code, okay, to save the time, and I'll just showcase the whole code on the screen so you all can also type, and even if you want to copy it, you can get this code from the description. But before we go ahead, okay, let me just explain this code, what is happening here. Okay, so the very first three line you all are familiar with. Of course, we are building the connection and creating the object of command, and then we are done with this command object, and let's register the command text. So the command text goes like this: we have to insert into the total billing, that is the first table. Then the information will go email ID, total, mobile and address. These are the 4 columns. Okay, there were basically 5 columns. The first column was order ID. Okay, let me just show you. On the left hand side we can see the order ID, but it is a primary key and it is automatically incremented, so that's why we don't have to feed it. So email ID we can get it from the session object, because you remember once the user has logged in, we try to save all the information inside the session object. That means we are just creating the session for the user, and session get abandoned, that is get destroyed only when the user log out. So if the user has logged in and user serves all the web pages of our website, okay, this session object will be alive, and everywhere on every page you can basically bring out this session object and take the details out of it. So we are doing the same thing here. So once the user was logged in, we store this information of email ID, mobile and address there. Let me just show you here. So this is the login page, and this are the 3 lines you all can see. So when the password was getting matched, we were saving this information inside this session object with an entry called email, mobile and address. So we are trying to fetch it now. So we are registering these parameters with these values now. Like email ID we can get it from the session object, mobile we can get it from the session object, and address we can get it from the session object. So 3 details we have already got it, and the remaining, the last detail was total, and the total was getting displayed on the label. Let me just show you. So this is a yoga mat. Let's click on it, add to cart, and let's go to the view cart. So this is the label, see, and the total label where the value is 1600. Okay, so we can get the total value from here. So that's what we are doing here. Like total we can get it from the label total.text property. Okay, and finally we are executing it and done. So basically this row will get insert in the total billing. Now we have to go further. That means we just have to enter the details in the order details like this. So the product ID will get generated automatically. Now order ID was already generated through this total billing table, so we have to fetch it, and then product name, quantity, price and subtotal we have to enter it here. Now try to understand here, like we have got this grid view, okay, and it has got rows and column. Like just for now there is only one row, but let me just show you one more time. Let me add one bottle, let's say this bottle, and say add to cart. And if we click on view cart, so basically now we can see the 2 rows. So when the user places the order, of course it's a single order, but it contains multiple items. So now from this grid cart, every row has to get entered in that order details table. So we'll go row wise. So we have to do this for each row in this grid cart. Okay, it will fetch the product name, quantity, price and the subtotal value here 1600. You can see this is a subtotal. Of course it is written here total, but it is a subtotal, okay, which is like quantity into price. So these 4 things are here only, so we have to fetch it from there, then we have to shift to the next row like that. So it can contain multiple rows, so for that we have to write this code called like for each loop. Like for every row, like we have written in the bracket here that this is our grid view. Inside that we have got rows. We'll pick one row at a time. We'll store that row in the row number, which is our type of grid view row. So we'll go inside. If the row number dot row type is equal to data control row type dot data row, that is data is there, then only we'll again build the connection and create the command object as usual, and then we all know, like in order details we required product name, quantity, price and subtotal, and also order ID. So this four things we can get it easily. From where? From, of course, from that row, because we have just fetched the row from the grid card. It is row number. So let's ask the product name first. So we have declared four variables for product name, quantity, price and subtotal. Of course, the same sequence we have got here: product name, quantity, price and total. So let's go to the row number, like that's the row, the first row. Inside that, cell number 1, see, this is cell number 0. Okay, the index position always starts from 0, so this is cell number 1. We are fetching product name here, so this is a lotus mat. Okay, then converting it into text and into toString and storing it in the product name. So our first parameter we have got. Okay, that's this product name. Let's talk about quantity now. So again, now we have to go to the same row number, now cell number 2 beside it, beside cell number 1, and then converting text into toString. And again, of course, we don't want to save it as a character, so it is a quantity, so of course it has to get declared in the int variable. So quantity now integer. Otherwise we could have done that as a string also, it wouldn't like create any problem here. Then same goes for price now, cell number 3 subtotal. Okay, and try to understand this like this we are doing like for every row. Okay, so this is like first row has been fetched, and now we'll try to insert that details into order details table. This is the table. So product ID we are not bothered about because that's the primary key and it will get automatically increment. And we have to fetch order ID, like we have to feed order ID, product name, quantity, price and subtotal. So these are the 5 columns. Okay, we have to like feed, and like this 4 details now we have it in this variables, you all can see. Okay, we have it. So now we just have to bring the order ID, and order ID got generated in this table called total billing. So what we did, we have declared one variable OID at the start. See, outside inside the class as a static variable, means it is a class variable, order ID, OID. Okay, into order ID, and we'll try to fetch it. Okay, so order ID, we want order ID, and we are using, and we have written one function called bring order ID bracket. So let's go there first, like what is happening inside this function. So this function is written outside this function. So here it is, and it is very simple function. Like let's go inside, it will return integer first. It has variable OD as order ID only, but here we are calling it as a OD, so not to get confused, and it has been declared as value 0. So let's open the connection, create the command object and register the command text. The command text is pretty simple now. So now we need to select the order ID from the total billing table, where the email ID is equal to @email ID. Okay, so we are matching it with the based on email ID, and we'll get the order ID here. So if the SQL data reader, we just have registered the parameter also, you can see from the session object, and declaring the data reader object which reads the data. Okay, the command will execute it, data reader will get initialized, and if the data reader is able to read the data, that means we have got the OD. So I will ask data reader to get it. Okay, get it like in the form of int32, of course, and from the first column, the value like 0, of course index position is like first column 0, and we are disposing it, and finally we are returning the OD. So finally when we call this function called bring order ID, okay, so order ID will get fitted here. So now we have all the other 5 details. Okay, so, and even we are also saving the order ID in the same session object itself with the name of OID. So now let's register the parameters to that command. Okay, not to get confused, you all can see we have declared these things multiple times. You can do it in a like very smart approach also, but I went through like totally in a traditional approach so that students should understand, okay, what we are trying to do here. Okay, all these lines of code, like maybe like 200-300 lines of code, can be like written in also like 120 or 150 lines of code. You can modify it, you can optimize this. Okay, but that was not the question here. So let's register the parameters and execute and dispose, and then finally, and we should be able to respond like redirect to the index.asp. I've just written this line just for now. Okay, so that we should understand, if we are able to redirect to the index.asp, that means everything went well. Later on we'll just remove this because we have to work on the payment option. So before we run this, okay, you can pause for a while, okay, the video, if you want to write the code. So I'm just displaying the code. So this was the first section of the code. Inside that button order, like button place order underscore click event. So this is the first section. Okay, after that we have written inside it only, like for each row section, okay, this section. Okay, and again you can again take a pause here and start writing the code. Okay, even we'll give you the code directly. You can have the code from the description of this video, okay, but still typing is much better option, because you will learn. If you will do the mistake, you will learn. So this is the second section, and we also have written one more function called bring the row order ID, you all can see, and which is written outside, and this is the third section of this video. Okay, so I guess things are clear. So let's go ahead and let's see whether it works properly or not. Let's do it from start. Let's delete this also, and let's again go back to the category, click on yoga mat, and then say lotus mat and say add to cart. You can again do it twice, the quantity will get increased there, you can see. Okay, and coming back to the category, let's say add one more bottle and say add to cart. Okay, so let's view the cart. So this is the order now. Okay, so if I click on the place order, let's see place order, what happens. Okay, so every row has to get enter in the order details table, and the total should get entered in the total billing. So let's say click place order. So I guess everything went fine this time, and we are on the index page. So now let's go to Visual Studio and check whether details have got feeded properly or not. So let's check the total billing first. Right click on it, show table data. So yeah, 1005 Tom, total amount something around 2350. It was 2350. Yeah, it was 2350. Okay, and if I click on order details, right click on it and say show table data, we should get 2 rows here. By the way, yeah, we are getting 2 rows. See, lotus mat 2 and 800, and then purify you bottle 1750, and the order ID is same. So this is what we wanted to achieve. Okay, and last thing, a last change what we want to have here, like in the total billing, you can see that total amount is also getting saved here, but we don't want this. We only want 2350 should be there. So for that, what we can do, we can go back to Visual Studio. Okay, and let's go to viewcard.aspx. Okay, so this is a total label, right? Yeah, so we were declaring this label as a like message. So instead of that, we can write here at the start like total amount. Okay, here, and we should only display the amount here. And for that, we can go to viewcard.aspx.cs. somewhere we have declared the variable value as total amount. Okay, here, so we can remove this and just say dot total dot toString. Okay, so that total will be visible. So only in the label that total value is getting saved, and it will get saved in the database accordingly. Okay, so that's it from this video. Thank you guys. If you have any query, then do let me know in the comment section. Bye bye.
That's all guys from this video. If you really like this video, press like button and do subscribe to our channel. If any queries or suggestions, do comment below. For more such updates, follow us on Instagram and Facebook.